My name's Ed, EDJ Property on socials. I've started Hinkley Homes, which is my rent to SA company. On the back of that, we've started Hinkley Homes Management, which is a management company. We pretty much have properties nationwide. And then with the cash flow that those two businesses are making, we've been able to implement the BRRR strategy in a separate investment arm, to which we've now done 6 BRRR deals as well. I'm from Telford, near Wolverhampton, West Midlands. Our predominant gold mine investment area is southwest in Somerset, but like I said, we have rent-to-rent and SA deals all over the country. So we've done over 70 deals, 50% of them being rent-to-SA deals. We've given a few back now, so I think we're at the moment about 28 rent-to-SA active deals. We've got about 35 properties in management as well. The combined total revenue for last year, 2024, was 1.47 million, so just shy of 1.5 million. And in August, we did our first 50k profit month as well. So quite a flagship milestone. To be honest, because we've been tracking a lot of our metrics, it didn't feel as elating hitting it because it was kind of projected. The 2 months before that were very close to that as well, so like 46 and 47, I think. Obviously, we're getting a bit of a boost for the summer months here, but still, being able to say that out loud, 50k profit month is it's pretty nuts. Yeah, it doesn't quite feel real. We've been through some pretty significant events, whether that be personal or literally explicitly the business related. Obviously, being able to go full time into property was significant, but no like cash or quantifiable numbers attached to it. The deal that we've literally just done, and we've had a valuation back on Friday, so 2 days ago, is what I would say is will be in life-changing, and that was a BRRR deal. We bought a conservative office building for relatively cheap due to the political landscape, obviously now, for £170,000. We spent £150,000 on the refurb, so 320 all in, and was able to fund this with cash from our rent to SA proceeds as well. So no borrowing, no debt to pay. We've just had it valued at 650 grand. So, we're looking at 330k margin, which will be refinancing at the higher level. And it's rented out at 6k a month on a 3-year lease, all bills included, making 4.5k a month as well. So one deal is truly, truly life-changing. Quite typically, cliche, tried all of the quick, just trying to make quick cash businesses, entrepreneurial little stints, sold chocolate bars and whatever it is at school, done all that. But I kind of worked really hard on what I always knew was my plan B. And I did land a very well-respected, well-paid job. But ultimately quite quickly realized that it wasn't providing fulfillment that I needed. And it lit a rocket up in me, to be honest, thinking that this can't be me for the next 50 years. So I did all I could, like on another level, research wise, looking at what strategies are around property, and lo and behold, came across Simon and rent to rent. And I thought, well, that's actually a property vehicle strategy that is actually quite viable for where I'm at. Literally was like, I need to speak with Simon, because I was under the impression that all these people have got something to sell. They're probably not genuine. He came across the most genuine out of everyone else who I was looking at and whatnot. So I was like, I need to speak with him. Spoke with him. He pretty much proved to me there and then on a phone call that, it's real, it's possible. And from there on out, I pretty much just I need to be 100% committed to this cause. And yeah, I mean, we're here now. SSO is almost solely focused on rent to rent. So it's already in a league of its own, if you like. One thing that's really impressed me about Simon is, I was probably with him from the early days as well, is his commitment and to growing and truly delivering a service that is like no other. For example, the application that came in a long, long time ago was like the first of its kind. Everything that he was building and providing was it was super impressive, and I think it just highlights the commitment and dedication to actually delivering a top class service. First of all, the quality of the team. He's got a wide team, and I've been really impressed with the knowledge and the value that they give out as well. The resources is now formidable, and what's provided, what's on screen, what's downloadable, all really good, useful stuff. And the community itself is like a hive mind of like-minded individuals who are not only wanting to pursue the similar sort of path in career, which is quite hard to find elsewhere, but they're also fun to be around. It was purely the fact that I believed that Simon was genuine, and I wanted to work with Simon. Simple as that, to be honest. It's been super important, because back then you kind of feel like you're putting all your eggs into one basket, and it's not an easy decision to make because of how much it means to you. Like now, I don't want to say it flippantly, but if I look back and I'm like, well, it was a few £1,000s or whatever, but back then it was everything. So I had to make the right decision because I only got one stab at it. And I'm just glad that he provided the value and I'm here now, and it all makes perfect sense with the power of hindsight. But obviously, if I shoot back to the early days, I didn't know. But I'm glad I made that decision. So initially, it took me 4 months to obtain my first deal, which is quite long, and it felt incredibly long and very frustrating. Nearly threw the towel in quite a few times. But I think, as the saying goes, you never know how close you are to actually just getting above that line. Got my first deal, was incredibly nervous. It felt like I'd put so much energy into just getting a deal, and now I realised I need to make this deal work. It's like, whoa, it's just a roller coaster of emotions. Thankfully, it started delivering and performing very well. Took me about another 2 months to be able to then finance my second deal on the back of that first deal. And then I think about 2 months later, I got my third and fourth. And then very early on, from like my fifth to, I want to say, maybe even up to 20th deal, it felt like they were happening once a week, which is just incredible. And that snowball growth really started to just roll into full effect. And the 4 months prior at the start, a lot of those leads that I'd pretty much counted as being dead leads were coming back around that time. So I was getting feeds and leads from all over, and it just felt like it really started to just pay dividends. All the hard work previously was starting to just come to fruition. Quite obviously, initially, when I was first reaching out to them, I was just, some 27-year-old kid promising the world with nothing to prove, nothing to show for it. Once they'd started to see that constant repetition, or, whether me being in their faces regularly or out and about on the streets, dropping leaflets, it took a few probably touch points for them to be a bit more at ease with the concept, or at least with me, to then turn leads into actual, business ventures. It probably links back to ultimately when I'd landed that job that I'd worked really hard for. I also then, my eyes were just completely opened up to the fact that that was considered a well-paid job, and I was struggling to get by. And I was like, what chance do I even have of getting on the ladder? And then it hit me that, to be quite honest, I was earning the same, if not more, than my parents at that point. And that hit home big time, because my parents had given me, my brother and my sister, an unbelievable upbringing. And I just acknowledged and understood all the sacrifices that they had made. They pretty much sacrificed their whole lives just for us to have an incredible upbringing. And I just felt the absolutely overwhelming need to take it into another gear to make sure that I provide them with, with a stable and better life, to be honest with you, on the back end of their life, which sounds quite morbid, but in brief and in short, my why is my parents. And ultimately, my own family as well. You know, like I don't want to be having to go to work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week when I've got kids of my own at home. I need to be there for that. Your why needs to be so strong that when you don't want to get up, you do. You know, and I'm not just talking about whilst you feel motivated on the back end of an event or of a video that you've watched. It's very easy to feel inspired and have that knee-jerk reaction of like, right, I'm going to go do it. You need to be up when you're at your lowest of the lows and you don't want to, and you need to sustain that kind of level of motivation as well for realistically a year, 2 years at least, which people might think that sounds like a lot, but if you look at how much your whole life can change, for example, my life's changed dramatically in a few years, it's just so worth it. And I know in the future I'm already going to look back and think, you know, I'm so glad I just sacrificed a lot and put in so much time for those few years, which was a bit of a drag, but now look what I've got to show for it. Another thing is as well is just to be incredibly resourceful and efficient. I think one key metric, if you like, that I often not compare myself with other people, but I was able to set up units and take on a new unit weekly, and we'd set them up over 2 days. And I think one thing that I like to speak to people about is the fact that if they tell themselves they've got 2 months to set up a unit, they end up taking 2 months. You know, so be hard on yourself and the standards that you set, because otherwise you can fall victim to your own, you know, your own bar that you set. So if I was to give myself advice, travel back in time, I feel like it's cheating because of the power of hindsight. But one thing I've developed massively throughout this journey, if you like, is to be so much more self-confident and believe in what you think and deem to be right, and drown out all the noise. There's a lot of negativity, a lot of naysayers. Trust the process, but more importantly, trust yourself.